If you want our country to be protected from the invasion, then you really need to get on the horn. We've seen all these abuses, right? We've seen the misuse of tax dollars to turn America into a one-party state by trying to jail Trump, keep him off the ballot, targeting Republicans who dare oppose Joe Biden, trying to jail them in various states, targeting citizen activists who thought they could challenge and dispute the election under the law, just trying to jail them and punish them and retaliate against them, again, to further rig the election. And all of that, Congress has done nothing about. Now, it's one thing if Congress is controlled by the Democratic Party, which is organizing this effort to turn America into a one-party state. But the Congress is controlled by Republicans, at least the House side, and they've done nothing to defund any of this. They're fully funding the abuses of Trump, the effort to turn America into a one-party state. The Biden invasion is just getting worse and worse and worse. That continues to be fully funded. And all the other terrible things we know about is fully funded, such as mass censorship and other abuses by Joe Biden. And the House Republicans, at least the leadership, announced this week with Senator Schumer that they've agreed on so-called top-line budgets. And so the process they're put in place essentially is going to mean, and this is based not just on what they say, but based on my understanding and discussions with folks here in Washington, D.C., and people who know even more about me than the process, which is a lot of people in Washington. But what they've set in place, Speaker Johnson has set in place with Senator Schumer and Mitch McConnell, is a process that will essentially fully fund everything you don't like about the Biden administration. Now, conservatives may get a few policy successes out of that. They may extract some policy concessions. But generally, the administration is getting everything they want funded. There are opportunities to challenge some of the issues I'm talking about, but no one takes those opportunities seriously because it's clear that Speaker Johnson, working with Senator Schumer, has set up a process that's guaranteed to result in no government shutdown. Why is that important? Because the government shutdown process was seen by conservatives as the only effective tool to stop the worst of the worst in terms of the destruction of the republic. Now, I don't know about you, for instance, but I know if a budget came up that continued the funding of sending illegal aliens all throughout America, I would not vote for it. And I would just make it clear, we can't continue to operate this way. We've got to stop it. It's an emergency. But others, including, the Speaker, don't think that can work. We can wait till next year, he says. Now, it's not to mean he doesn't advocate and doesn't agree with the outcome I'm highlighting, but the tactic in getting to these results, I guess that's where the dispute is. And of course, then we have this Fannie Willis in Georgia. I mean, why hasn't there been any sanction on Georgia, practically speaking, for abusing the civil rights of Donald Trump and others? Now, in light of this corruption, can there be federal funding that's restricted to Fulton County or Georgia generally if they're going to be violating the civil rights of Americans? I think so. I mean, this was a few months ago, and I've got some videos here that were filmed during the McCarthy speakership. Things really haven't changed, so they're still pretty relevant. This one, I guess the one where I'm in the hotel room, I remember doing it because it was like, I was just about to get on a plane. I literally just woke up, but I'm thinking, I got to get this word out because it's going to, whatever the timing was, there needed to be something done quickly. And so let's play that video.
Hey everyone, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. Don't forget, Congress has an opportunity over the next 2 weeks to shut down the prosecutions of Donald Trump, to defund them. Don't let Congress fool you. Don't let House leaders fool you. They can do it now. They should do it now. They can protect Trump from these abuses. They can protect other innocent Americans from these abuses. They can stop the Biden Justice Department's interference in our elections. They can do it now through this continuing resolution process. Call your members of Congress and share your views at 202-225-3121.
So you can see things haven't changed. It's literally the same point, except now move forward a few months. I think January 19th is the next opportunity for a continuing resolution that would at least partially shut down the government. The plan is to kind of let something temporary go on until they get all their appropriations measures in place. I mean, unless you're willing to do something significant for continued spending that the left wants, or get something significant, meaning, the stopping of the abuse of Trump or the ending of the invasion, I don't know how in this emergency situation you could allow the government to stay open. At least that's my personal opinion. I mean, this is even worse. I participated in a press conference with some conservative leaders, like Kevin Roberts over at Heritage. Senator Lee was there from Utah, and members of the House Freedom Caucus. And, this kind of highlighted it. And again, I just wish this press conference had been overtaken by events. I forget when we did it. Was it September? Yeah, it was probably in September. Literally nothing's changed other than the name of the speaker. Let's go to that tape. I'm Tom Fitton. I'm president of Judicial Watch, America's leading government watchdog organization. We have a simple request for Congress: do your job. It's not enough to do investigations and reports. We need to stop the government corruption and abuse that is so concerning to the American people. In this new budget fight, or basically the old budget fight that we're being asked to pretend is new, there's an inflection point. Are we going to continue to fund Republicans in the House the wild abuse by the Biden administration of its political opponents, the mass censorship of tens of millions of Americans, the border invasion we've heard so much about, and the other wild abuses of power that are right now fully funded with Congress? And I don't know what we're talking about with a clean CR. I see a dirty CR, a CR that will fund the worst of dirty politics and corruption in our federal government. And there's a positive moral obligation right now, not next year, but right now, to stop the abuses, the effort to jail Trump on pretextual, unprecedented charges in a way never seen before in American history. An obligation to stop right now the Biden administration's censorship of tens of millions of Americans. The obligation to stop right now the illicit use of tax monies to fund abortions in our military and elsewhere. We need to stop right now the attack on children through the promotion of transgender extremism. We need to stop right now the lack of serious investigation into the Biden administration corruption, specifically Biden corruption. We need a Justice Department or a special counsel that has confidence of the American people. All of these issues can be addressed in this continuing resolution. And if they don't want to address it, that suggests to me those who vote for it are on the side of corruption, and those who oppose it are on the side of justice. Thank you. When I first tweeted that out, I said, Speaker McCarthy needs to do X. And I realized, oh, no, it's not Speaker McCarthy, it's Speaker Johnson. And, again, to sum up, and this is the tweet I put out that received a lot of follows, or a lot of attention. After a series of D.C. meetings and discussions this week, I've concluded that the House and Senate leadership, again, Speaker Johnson, with Schumer and McConnell and the Republican Senate, the Republican leader of the Senate is McConnell, is what I meant to say, have set in motion a political process that will result in the D.C. status quo being fully funded this year with speckles of conservative policy wins here and there. This banana republic level of spending is at the time almost certain to include continued full federal taxpayer funding of Biden's border invasion, the Biden regime Democratic Party effort to turn America into a one-party state by jailing Trump, etc., the mass censorship of Americans, and other policies that threaten the very foundations of our Republican form of government. And there's other fights about the border going on right now, kind of separately. It's all part of a piece, but technically separate. It wouldn't surprise me, as I write here, if the uniparty open borders interests even managed to get amnesty for illegal aliens thrown into a Potemkin border security measure. Again, you should share your views about these issues with your senators and congressmen by calling 202-225-3121, 202-225-3121. So, like I said, both party leaders want this to move forward in Congress. And the only way to stop it is through effective leadership within the Hill, whether it be good senators in the Senate or good members in the House, but also to hear from you, the American people. 202-225-3121, 202-225-3121. Call, figure out, they'll help you figure out who your congressman is if you don't, and who your senators are if you don't know them. But share your views politely, yet directly, and they do take note. They do take note of these calls when they come in. And even if the call doesn't get picked up, they take note of the volume of calls. So they know the phones are ringing, and they're politicians. There's nothing they are more expert at than figuring out what their voters want. Now, whether they do what their voters want is a different matter. But they certainly know immediately. They're finely attuned little squirrels when it comes to figuring out where the winds are blowing politically. And if you want our country to be protected from the invasion, then you really need to get on the horn. I don't know what else to tell you. Now, of course, Judicial Watch will do what we can in terms of uncovering the corruption and providing education to the voter and to citizens about what's going on and what needs to be addressed through spending and funding fights. But it's up to you, dear voter and dear citizen, to follow through. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.